All right, today we're going on a bit of a mission. We're on a hunt to find the most remote, most isolated, and you could definitely say the loneliest place on the entire planet. You know that phrase, the middle of nowhere? Well, have you ever really stopped to think about where that is? Like if you genuinely wanted to get as far away from, well, everything as you possibly could, where would you even go? For most of human history, we had no idea. But today, oh yeah, we know the exact spot. So, how did we find it? Well, this wasn't some grand adventure with ancient mariners and old crinkly maps. Nope. The search for the ultimate nowhere is actually a pretty modern story. It's a tech story, really, a complex puzzle that could only be solved with computers. In fact, it was only about 30 years ago, believe it or not, a survey engineer had this brilliant idea to feed the coordinates of every single coastline on Earth into a computer program. The goal was to find one single point that was the exact same distance from the three closest land masses. And after a whole lot of number crunching, bingo, the computer found it. Okay, so you found this place using a computer. What do you call it? It needs a name that really captures that feeling of profound isolation, right? Well, they came up with the perfect one, with a clever little nod to some classic literature. We're talking about a place that is, quite literally, the loneliest place on Earth. They named it Point Nemo. Now, that name is just genius. In Latin, Nemo means no one. Plus, it's a fantastic tribute to Captain Nemo from 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea. Its official, more sciencey name is the Oceanic Pole of Inaccessibility, which basically just means it is mathematically the single spot in the ocean furthest away from any piece of dry land, period. But farthest from land is still kind of an abstract idea, isn't it? Let's talk about what that distance actually feels like. The numbers behind Point Nemo's isolation are, well, they're staggering. Let's really put it in perspective. Get a load of this. 2,688 kilometers. That's nearly 1,700 miles. So imagine you're at Point Nemo. No matter which direction you go, you'd have to travel almost 1,700 miles just to hit the nearest coastline. And what is that nearest land? Well, you've got three contenders. There's Desi Island, a tiny little atoll, Motu Nui, an islet just off of Easter Island, and Mahar Island, deep in Antarctica. And here's the real kicker. All three of them are completely, totally uninhabited. This crazy isolation means it's basically a dead zone for global traffic. No cargo ships cross through here, no passenger planes fly over it. It is an intentional blank spot on the map of human activity. Now, you'd think a place this empty would have to be the most pristine, untouched spot on the planet. But, and this is where the story gets really weird, it turns out Point Nemo has become a destination. And it serves a very specific and actually pretty critical purpose for our modern world. You see, the visitors here don't arrive by sea at all. They come from the sky. Because this is the safest place on the entire planet to crash our junk from space. Yep, you heard that right. It's a designated spacecraft graveyard, the final resting place for hundreds of deorbited satellites and old space stations. Even the International Space Station itself is planned to end its life right here. This brings us to a really fascinating paradox. If the nearest land is empty and no ships go there, who are the closest human beings to this spot at any given time? Well, the answer isn't on Earth at all. Because the International Space Station's orbit passes right over this region, very often, the closest people to Point Nemo are the astronauts floating 400 kilometers straight up. They are closer to this lonely spot than any other human on the entire planet. How wild is that? So you see, Point Nemo is so much more than just a geographic curiosity. It's this amazing testament to our planet's enormous scale and, pretty ironically, our own technological reach. It's a place of incredible paradoxes. The farthest point from any land on Earth is also the final resting place for our creations that fly the highest above it. And its closest human neighbors? Well, they're the people living in space, orbiting high above all that wreckage. It really makes you think, doesn't it? In an age where we feel more connected than ever, there's a place that's defined by its complete distance from us, yet it's used by us for our most advanced technology. So it really leaves us with a question. What does the loneliest place on Earth tell us about the boundaries of our world and our relentless push to go beyond them?